Hey guys, Anthony Delmedico, SVG. I'm here with Paul Olsen with the company broker group.
Denver, Colorado.
We're back here in SVG again today, and we're talking about, as a prelude to our last introduction, we're going to actually look at two roofing companies today, restoration companies.
Yep.
Compare the two, talk about their revenue, talk about their EBITDA, talk about their cash flow, and how the heck do you sell these things? So guys, let's just take a look, Paul, at these two companies here. We'll say company A, company B.
Yep.
I know you like to keep your clients confidential.
Yep.
Let's start with company A because they got a nice. Let's look at the last 2 years. Keep it simple. Company A, it looks like they had 2,129,000 2015, and we had 3.3 million 2016.
Yep.
Explain the net income there. There's obviously some sales growth.
People run their books for taxes so as to minimize their taxes to the greatest degree possible because no one wants to pay more than they need to. In 2016, this company grossed $3.3 million and their net income was $390,000, as you can see. I'm rounding here.
You have 4,000 in personal fitness.
Right. So he goes to 24-hour fitness and that's an expense of the business, of course.
One hell of a trainer.
$4,100 goes through that. Vehicle, personal, he's probably got a very nice car, maybe an Escalade. His wife's got an Escalade payment. Tags, insurance, payments of all sort, that's $9,000 per year. Cell phones for me, the owner, the wife, the kids, that's all thrown through that. Now, if you have a line of credit, some people have a $300,000-$400,000 line of credit, there's interest on that. It's 7, 8, sometimes 10% interest. You may pay $50,000, $70,000, $90,000 a year in interest. That's an add back. And then sometimes some people may spend $90,000 in legal costs or accounting fees as a one-time expense. It's not ongoing, it's not reoccurring. Typically, tax returns and bookkeeping is maybe $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a year. You'll see someone spend $50,000 because they had a one-time event, maybe chasing a customer for $100,000 they were owed.
Let's talk about the owner draws. That's a big number, 161,000.
Yep.
Is that your typical distribution?
Yeah, that's distributions.
So they're taking some kind of distribution monthly, quarterly.
Yep, and that goes to the owner's pocket for his benefit.
But that would normally be net income
if
we took the owner out of the equation. So all these things, guys, we're talking about are squished back down into the bottom line to determine the price of that company.
And in addition to that is the salary. Most owners, all owners should and do have a W-2 salary of $80,000 to $100,000 a year, plus the burden on top of that, insurance, workman's comp, etc. That brought this net income from $387,000 to, in this case, $831,000. So almost another $450,000 has been run through the business in these creative methods.
Paul, those are two important numbers. So what you're saying, just to reiterate, that was a lot of information there, but just to reiterate, when you analyze a company to sell, because I know you're looking out for the seller.
Yep.
Right?
I represent the seller.
You're going to go ahead and sit down, look at those books. You're going to take all the owner discretionary expenses, which I know you guys got a lot of them. You're going to add those to the bottom line so that they can get a decent sales price for that company, as if what it would be like if they weren't spending these things on themselves.
Exactly. The value of a business is often a multiple of the number we're talking about. Pushing this all to the bottom, owner discretionary expenses, it's a multiple of that. It could be 3 times that, 4 times that, 5 times that. So you want to make this number as big as possible, and that's what I have an eagle eye to do.
So Paul, looking at those numbers, we talked about this in the last chapter. Your EBITDA, your net income. You call it too. It's the same thing. Net income, EBITDA. We're going to go ahead and base the price of this company 2 to 3 times the 831. Is that a starting point of conversation?
I would think 3 times. A business that has a lot of receivables, has a very fast-growing company, very large, grosses $6, $8, $10, $12 million a year. Cash flows a nice, solid $1 to $1.5 million. A case can be made that that's worth 3 times that number. So 3 times 1.2.
We got 2.4 million possibility here.
Yes.
Did you sell this company?
Yes, I did.
What did you sell it for?
I sold that for $2.4 million. 2.1 plus the seller had to carry $400,000.
So about 2.5, 2.6 times EBITDA.
Right.
So that's on the high point of a traditional roofing company that you'd sell.
But if a business is fast growing and has a special sauce or some special angle, and there's a case to be made that it's growing at a much faster rate, it could be worth 4 or 5 times this multiple.
All right, Paul. Going to company B. I understand company A. It's starting to make sense to me.
Okay.
Company B, we have we're looking at 2015, 2016 revenues. So 2015 are 6.9. 2016 revenues actually went down.
Yep.
5.5 million. Let's talk about their net income. What you used as a percentage of EBITDA and how you sold this company.
Yeah, this business grossed 6.9. We'll call it $7 million. The net income for this guy is $583,000. Okay, or the net profit is $550,000. But by the time you add back the owner's salary, which is $320,000, other family wages, he pays his wife, though she doesn't show up. He pays a brother, although he doesn't show up. These are not producers whatsoever.
We call them stacks, guys.
Yep. Owner's personal insurance. He's got some life insurance, things like that. Medical expenses, disability expenses, things like that. Those are all discretionary. Non-reoccurring expenses.
So he's got a lot less than Company A.
Yep.
Company A was tucking some money away in their business.
This guy owns the real estate, and he pays himself a rent. The business pays a rent to his LLC that owns the real estate, a substantially higher rent than a market rent. And so there's an add back. He pays himself, say, $20,000 a month, and the new owner would only have to pay, say, $12,000 a month. So if you add all of those months up, that would be another $132,000 in this case.
Now, let's talk about the 2 years. So we've got a 2-year average. Are you going to take the 2-year average of that EBITDA and then go 2 to 3 times multiple?
And again, very good point. What sellers like to do is cherry pick the best year and tag a multiple of that, say 3 times that, 4 times that. The buyer, of course, wants to use...
Just take a moving average.
Yeah, they want to use a last 5-year average, which of course, the economy the way it's been, most people, their 14 wasn't as good as their 15, their 15 wasn't as good as their 16, so they really like to use 12 and 13 and 14 when coming up with an average. The seller, of course, wants to use the most recent, which of course has been straight up. Nevertheless, a good broker can succeed, should be able to succeed in getting a buyer to pay 3 or 4 times the last 12 months.
So what did you end up selling Company B for?
This one's selling for 4.5 and it's under contract.
Under contract,
4.5
So you're going with what, 3 times EBIT on the 2000.
And the seller keeps all his cash, and in this case, most of the receivables. So, but the most important thing is the seller owns the real estate, and I got a very strong 7-year lease signed personally, which is also important to the seller.
Well, guys, that's a good analysis on how we start to look at how to sell these companies, these roofing companies. In the next chapter, we're going to look at that balance sheet, and we're going to break down what we do with those receivables, those payables, and that cash on hand. See you soon.